to open up with your thoughts, Barry, on the day so far?
Yeah, I think obviously I think we did a lot. I think we just are continuing down the path that I think I tried to lay out when I first got here, is that we're continuing anytime that we can add a cultural serial winner type of player, we're going to do that. We're here to, like I said, I don't want you to come here to retire. I want you to come here to win. And today we added 3 cup winners, a Conn Smythe winner, which gives us 2 on our team with Ryan O'Reilly. We added 2 40-goal scorers from last year, added 15 goals on the back end, improved our offense. This may not mean a lot to everybody sitting there, but what it does is also allow our power play and penalty kill to have very defined roles, because you don't have a guy like Ryan O'Reilly getting extended on both sides of the puck so much, for instance. That is really key, so you can keep some of the tread on the tires for all these players. We got a former captain, so adding to the leadership. Actually, in all the players, we're adding to the leadership because they're all very important that we signed today. And at the end of the day, I've known and coached against these players. I know that they all have hard skill. They're determined. They're high skill players that compete at a very high level. And so, hopefully the plan for us is we put these guys in place, and it allows, we're very fortunate. I think our scouting staff and development staff have done a really good job. You look at our prospect pool has continued to grow. You saw that I made a move, moving Igor Afanasyev and getting Ozzy Weisblatt. And I also did a trade with Kiskinen for Gibson. And that, if you look at the how it's rolling for us, we've got players like LaRue and Sveshkovs and those guys that are going to be our depth, and they're gonna get into the mix. You're going to have and Kemmel would be in there, Schaefer, and then we have a group that's even further back that are really good prospects in Mollendijk and Gibson and people like that. So hopefully we're set up for a long time, and we haven't touched any draft capital. Next year we have 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 3 thirds. I think we got all our picks. We might not have a 6th or 7th, if I remember. We have 1 7th. Okay. So you see that we have the opportunity to keep this going for a while. And one of the things that you want is, if you just, for a visual for you, you take what we did, you took our top line and what we did today, and keep Luke there and Stammer and Marchie there. And then you just, all that bottom 6 they're very defined, but also our kids can work their way up. And then I always talked about top 9. They can intermene with those the top 9, and you have your kids protected. They can add energy. They can add, hopefully, veteran presence to lean on, and we can become I'll say a little bit more of a 4-line team, which will allow us to compete on a the thing that should not change from our hockey team. We play fast. We play hard. We're in your face, and we lean on you a little bit. And the types of players that we got today, they all do that. So I think our staples will always be our structure and our hard work. But now we've added a level of skill and that quick pop that you need, especially in the playoffs. You look at the playoffs, we didn't score a lot, but we didn't give up a lot. And hopefully we can find a goal here, a goal there on the power play. It's a journey to win the cup. And if you look at it, and we very well could have beat Vancouver. Vancouver could have beat Edmonton, and who knows. So today is a very good day for, I think, for our team, and I'm talking about the organization, but also the players. I mean, when you start getting texts from your players going, "I am excited," I think that really says a lot when players know players, and they know that what we're trying to do is trying to win. And that's, as I said, I vision that someday we're going to have that, have a parade down our Broadway. You saw Florida had it on, in Florida. So once you've done it, it's addicting, and you start looking at the number of guys we have in our team who've done it. They pull you along, and that's hopefully they were able to pull us along, and pull our young guys along, and hopefully we can have that moment.
Thank you, Barry. We'll turn over to questions. Just wait for the mic if you could. We'll go to Alex first.
Barry, I'm curious how you prioritized today. Did it start with Stamkos and then the other two came, or?
Good. It's sort of. I wish I think in my mind I had a priority. The priority for me, number one, was to fix the back end. Just when it started, I think it started with Ryan McDonough being a part of the trade to Tampa. Going back, that's a big hole. A, he's a good defender, and B, he's a leadership guy. So if I had to prioritize, I said I needed to fix the back end, because I told our players I was going to do that. I said it's my job to fix that hole that I created by having Ryan go back to Tampa Bay, which we mutually sort of agreed. Do a player solid, and I told the players, I'm going to fix that. I did a solid for a player. I need to fix it for you guys. And then after that, it was looking for the offense. I was looking for the offense up front. How can we be a better hockey team offensively? Look for those serial winners. And so I didn't talk to a lot of guys. I prioritized probably a center ice position, probably targeted to the sort of the top three guys. And then I was looking for, that guy. I sort of said, we can fix this hole, and I'm looking for that guy. And I think we were able to do that with what we did today. So there wasn't really a priority. It was sort of like, you got to fix that hole that I said I created. And then after that, it was looking for, it wasn't 1, 2, 3. It was like, fix that, and then we got what's the two best components that go there, and they are, it's 1A, 1B, either way. So we looked at that, and we went after it hard, and it didn't really come together. I know at this point, we've all agreed to terms, but we've got to get pen to paper, and a lot of different moving parts and different agents and all that. So it was a very busy morning, put it that way.
Go to Robbie.
Barry, you were around for the Paul Correa signing. You've talked about how important that was for the franchise. How do you put into words a guy the caliber of Stamkos for this franchise signing him? What does that mean to you? What does that mean to this franchise?
Well, I think it to me, and with Steven, and I put Marchie in there. I mean, those guys are really, really, valuable guys in the league when you talk about what they've done, how they got through their path. Steven, a former number one pick, with Tampa for so long, and Marchie, who sort of had to go through his path to get to the National Hockey League and win a Conn Smythe. And he's been a productive player. He's very determined, and then it's huge because it's a statement, I think, for the rest of the league that these players will come to Nashville. These players see what we're doing with our franchise. We have lots to offer, and we're very determined to win, and we're committed to that. So that's what players want. You get to that caliber of player. All three of them really. You say, what's the number one thing you want? And it's everybody looks at the money and that and think it's that. It's not. When you get to this caliber of player that we've signed today, in all three of them, and even re-signing Carr and that, those are the players that they want to win. That's the number one thing that will come out of their win. I want to win. If you're not committed to winning, I'm pretty sure they're not coming. And that's the number one thing that they want. And then after, you got to figure out the rest. Who do I play with? Where's my fit? You know, and once you have that, then we got everything you want. You know, from a city to ownership, everything. So there's no reason not to come to Nashville.
Yeah, Barry, seemed like there were certainly rumors or two about, some of the signings here, about Stamkos and about Skjei maybe as well. Marchessault, it didn't seem as if there was as much scuttlebutt, or maybe I just missed it. But did that come about later, or has that been kind of in the works a bit as well?
Well, it was kind of in the works when he was out there, and I would. There's so many options when you start this process, and for me it sort of didn't start till I really got to Vegas. I had been out of touch. Unfortunately, I had to go back home with my dad had a serious operation, and he's still in the hospital. So I was out of touch for 4 or 5 days, and when I got to Vegas, I was like, there was people saying that we had to deal with different players, and we were in on the Marner thing, or whatever, and I'm like, I've been out of touch for 4 days, so this is untruth. But when I got there, I got hit with all that, and I was trying to play catch up a little bit. So there was a buffet of players trying to find out, is that guy coming to market? Is that guy coming to market? Is he re-signing? So you're just trying to gauge what might be out there, and then you start, saying, hey, if this player comes to market, I would, count me in and please give me a call. So that's pretty well it. And then after the draft, it was, you start that process. They start phoning you and say, how interested are you, or whatever. That's sort of and you go very into, it's like, warmer, closer, yeah, but there's really, you can't really do anything till the very end here. So we worked at it, and I think I credit all the players that we got for being patient with us. I credit all their agents who have worked hours on these this, especially today. Trying to get the details in order for us to be able to sign them. So there was a lot of work by a lot of people. Our scouts, I give a lot of credit to. Not only our amateur scouts at the draft, but also our pro scouts who have been following and trying to give me a roadmap of what might be out there. And this is to me, it's a organizational win for today. But we don't play the game on paper, and our lineup looks better. But we got to be a better team, plain and simple. And that you saw last year. It took some time. And this year it'll take some time for some guys. They get players from different organizations that don't quite play the same way, but I think their DNA allows them to play the way we want them to play. So I give them a little time, and then hopefully we can get our feet off the ground and into training camp. So I'm really excited about that, and I know I'm really excited because I'm going to get to see some of the young kids during development camp. So it's pretty exciting if you're a Preds fan and if you're part of the organization. I mean, it is, like I say, this is a big day for a franchise, but it's also a big day, I think, for the young men that are going to join us from the other teams in free agency. But it's a huge day for all the young guys that have come in for development camp, and some of them coming here for the first time. So I'm really excited.
Barry, you mentioned players knowing players, and once maybe you had one sign Stamkos, does that play off into Skjei or Marchessault, or they'll maybe kind of independent of each other depending on the timing?
Well, I think I'm learning. I'm sort of one of those guys that, as we say, I look at my plate and I go, I got to take care of the meat, and I'll eat my meat first, and then I'll go to the potatoes and all that. And I sort of, with this process, you really had to handle, a number of different balls and that. So it was a task. It was a task to figure out, are you in on this player, or you get towards the end, and just like any agent, they'll say, we got lots of interest in this player, what's your level? And I'm trying to determine my level based on what I'm hearing in terms of, you hear of term and prices and all those things. So, and a lot of them are truths, and some of them are half truths, and so you got to navigate that a little bit.
Barry, from adding even Scott Wedgwood, obviously you get the deal with UC Dunn, Askarov is in play as well. You've got lots of depth, and even Mitch Korn is back too. So can you kind of shed some light on the future with having UC here now under an 8-year deal, but also how is Askarov involved as well? Yeah,
this is, I had reached out to Askarov's agent so that there's I try to be transparent with the agents and the players so that they know that there's a plan for them. In our situation with what we did today is with getting Scott Wedgwood into the group, obviously getting Mitch Korn back, is the game keeps evolving. So getting Mitch Korn was the first piece, so that let's talk about UC Saros. The game changes sometimes, and you don't notice it changes for a couple of years, and then you sort of have to reinvent yourself a little bit or adjust a little bit to where the game is. So I think Mitch is the best in the business with Ben Vanderklok and Jason, and we still have Pekka Rennie. I think our goaltending is in great shape for the future. Saros is one of those elite athletes that is iconic like Pex is. I mean, and so when you have those guys, it's hard to let them go because of what they mean to the franchise and how they play on the ice. And then having a guy like Askarov, who is a tremendous talent. You can look back at what happened in Pekka's career. I think he was a couple years in Milwaukee, and then I had signed. I think it was Dan Ellis. I think Mace might have been in the net with him. And our goaltending that year was supposed to be Mace and Pekka. Pekka didn't have a great camp. He didn't get off to a good start. So we started with Dan Ellis, and then Dan Ellis took over for Mace, and Pex ended up playing a good portion of the year down in Milwaukee, which Askarov could do. And if you talk to Pex, that was the best thing that for him to just another year, but also come together as a goaltender. Mind, body, spirit, the technical game, all that. But I also have to protect our organization and for the long run. So Scott Wedgwood is there, and if Askarov and Wedgie, if we go to camp and Askarov blows our socks off and is ready, then we'll talk to Scott. If Scott beats out Askey, then then Askey goes down. Or I know I'm going to get a lot of calls. So on Askey, because we got Saros signed. So my phone will be ringing. It has. What are you doing with Askarov? We don't have to do anything. He's a Nashville Predator. We're going to do work with him, Mitch Korn, his agency, and do what's the best thing for him. Because I can give you a ton of examples like I did with us. I can give you a ton of examples of Tampa with Vasilevsky. I think they had Bishop and Vasilevsky. So I think it was Luongo and Schneider. So there's lots of options. So we're going to do what's right for our organization, and I'm asking all our goaltenders to be ready for camp and get at it. The only thing that I do know is UC Saros is our number one goalie. So
You alluded to it earlier. Do you guys envision Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Nyquist staying together, and Stamkos and Marchessault with Evangelista or someone else?
I am not the coach. I will let the coach. I learned this one. If I do the lines and they don't work, I'll get blamed for it, or you force things. I told you guys about the laser beams. I got to play this guy. I'm going to let that play out with Bruno. Bruno will talk to the players. He'll get a feel for it. I mean, last year it became very obvious that there was some kind of chemistry between Forsberg and O'Reilly early. And then you were just looking for that other piece. And then Gus had a fantastic year and fit in there and did really well. So, I would think that probably Bruno will say, let's see if it's working. I've had the same thing where I had one line, that works 1 year and they hit it off and sort of hit a home run basically. And then next year they come together and you're like, oh, where are you guys? And so you mix it up again. So I'll let that decision go to Bruno. But as I say, I sort of look at our future as we've got people in the right seats, and if we play the same way, people are all on board and have the buy-in in the right seats, then we're going to just be fine.
Yeah, Barry, obviously a lot of signings today, a lot of money spent as well. Probably not a ton left right now. Are you kind of comfortable with where you are, or do you envision needing to create a little bit more?
Well, I think what I want to do is, and I try to do this with our players, is I'm probably going to look to do a move or two just to create a little bit more separation so that we do have that. But the great thing is that we've got lots of depth within the organization, and at a entry level guys that are young that we can use. So I think we're okay, but I'm probably looking to move probably at least one guy.
You added some big pieces, obviously, today. When you first started, you talked about kind of a reset window. Do these signings today change for you the timing of a contending window at all?
No, I said I don't. I probably didn't know myself, and I think I was pretty transparent on that. I said I don't know if we're a bad team or not a great team, or we're sneaky good. If you remember, I think I said that many times, and I said you don't know. And we're very fortunate to have Bruno as our coach. We're very fortunate to have the leadership that we do in Philip and Ryan and Yos and Gus and Colton Sissons and Juice, and I'm probably missing someone. And then they pulled it together. They pulled together, and the core is really good. Every team that is a good team in the National Hockey League has, I think, a couple components. You got to have good goaltending. You got to have an elite defenseman. You got to have an elite scorer on the one side. You need an elite centerman or a top centerman, and you need depth. And I start looking at our team now, and we check a lot of boxes. We did get a little bit older. I understand that. But I do know this, that age is an important factor because Father Time always catches up to you. But if you have a highly competitive nature and you're bought into your craft, you can play for a long time in this league. And all these guys are of that DNA. And so that's why I think with the youth that we can inject in the next couple of years and the culture that we have with the veteran players, I think allows us to get into a window. We're in a great division. I mean, you look at teams like Dallas and Colorado, and on the other side you got Vegas and and Edmonton, and you just go, the list goes on and on. You don't know. You want to be as competitive as you can, and you want to win. And we got guys that are craving to win.
You just led into my question there, right up here.
Oh, hello.
Hello. With the three players, Stamkos, Marchessault, and Skjei, all being 30 and up, what about their form made you confident in the contracts and the fit for the Predators right now?
Well, I think I tried to say that in this last question, is that you're highly competitive, driven people. Age doesn't matter. I mean, you look at guys like Joe Pavelski and people like that. They are dedicated to their craft. They're productive guys. They pull people along. These guys are of that sort of ilk, if you will. They're extremely competitive, and I think by us being a deeper team, you can take a little bit of the save some of the tread on the tire, if you will, and with the youth that we have, I think we're going to be hopefully fine. If you don't know how it's going to play out because you got 82 games, a couple things happen and it could shorten things, but there's no guarantee in life. So we're going to put the best people and the best players on the ice and hopefully win some hockey games and take this to where we want to go.
Robbie?
Barry, back on the Saros front, you said
Yeah.
last week on the radio that he had probably earned some trade protection. What, if any, trade protection is included in the Saros
Yeah,
contract?
he's got some. We've got a window where I think with any agent, we left the last few years. I think you need that in any protection. He's earned the right for protection based on what he's done for the franchise and what he's done in this league. I think the one thing with goaltending is there's only one goaltender who can play. You got 6 defensemen, you got 12 forwards, so sometimes it's easier. If a player is sort of slowing down or what have you, he can still play and still be fairly productive. But a goaltender, if you slide off too much or someone passes you, you don't need to be sitting. I don't think goaltenders want to sit. They want to play, especially Juice. Juice plays a lot. And hopefully we can, with our group, we can use our team, and as long as we play at the level I think we are capable of, Juice won't have to play 82 out of 82. It seems like he does every year.
Do a couple more for Barry, so then we can get set up for the Stamkos soon. We'll go to Jim.
Barry, I know it's been a busy couple of days, but at any point today, did you kind of sit back and think of previous July 1st and your first go around with this team and maybe some of the names that were added? And you're even dealing with like $12 million worth of dead cap space, and we're still able to make these moves today. Can you speak to maybe where the franchise has come, in your last couple of years, as well as ownership's buy-in allowing you to do this?
Yeah, we did have this. I think it was towards the end of last night, where we started putting we had some of the pieces sort of, if we can do this, if we can connect on this. I mean, we started reflecting a little bit, and that's funny that you asked that. Hopefully we weren't around the corner. But we talked about, I remember one trade deadline, I think we finally signed, it felt like it was like day 7 of free agency, and I think we signed Clark Wilm and Brent Gilchrist way back when, and nothing against the players, but it was really deep into like 7 or 8 days after the trading deadline, and you look, it's pretty remarkable when you sit back and what we did last year, and the dead cap space that we have, and do what we just did, and it is pretty remarkable, and that's a tribute to all the hard work that David Poyle put in before me to set this up, where we have prospects, we have cap space, or we made some good value signings, and we let it sort of come to the forefront today where we could take our shot. I asked our scouts at the draft floor last year to get people out of their seats, take your shot. And it's probably my job, if I say that to the amateurs on the pro side, I think I owe those shots. Let's take our shots. And that's what we tried to accomplish. We tried to accomplish how we can make this this team better on a nightly basis. And we were a good team last year. So, but we don't play the game on paper. So it looks like a better team. Looks like it's a more dangerous team. But you play the game on the ice. So there's going to be a lot of sweat, a lot of work, a lot of determination, and you got to have the buy-in. And there's a lot of talented teams last year that if you look on paper, you'd probably say, well, they were better than the Preds. These guys were a lot better than the Preds, and really they weren't.
Yeah, very similar question, but by most compilations, you probably just signed 3 of maybe the top 10 free agents on the market or so. You've been around here for most of the franchise's years. Is there any other day that compares to this in terms of a roster construction and even in a short amount of time, let alone one day?
Well, I think obviously I go back to the moment that we got Paul Kariya. That to me, that was a watershed moment in our franchise, because that was right off after the lockout, and Paul Kariya was very, very diligent and looked around at all the teams, and he said, which team has run really well, which team has prospects, which team has a chance to win, all those things. And he picked the Nashville Predators. To probably the rest of the league sort of went, what? And to me, that was a watershed moment. The other watershed moment to this franchise is the offer sheet on Shea Weber. Ownership had to really step up then, and they did. And they should get a lot of credit for that. So, yeah, those two things come to mind, because you can, on the one, someone said this is well run. Someone of a guy that's an absolute superstar in the Hall of Fame, and another one that's going in the Hall of Fame. That this franchise said, you know what, we're not going to get bullied around, and they stepped up.
Is this ranked with those, above those even, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know. I'll let. It's too close to evaluate. Well, ask me in 10 years where it ranks. But I think it was important to send a message to our own players that we want to win, and they want to win, and so I think we're in a partnership. Our organization and the players, the ownership, all that, we work in unison, and very few. I said this before. I've been in a couple other places, and they're very well-run organizations. They're great people, all that. This is a Smashville. Unless you're here, you don't understand. And it's a pretty cool place.